Well, hello there. So I saw this article yesterday and I knew I just had to do a video on this because I thought this might help a lot of people. I've tried to articulate to some people around, you know, federal tax rates and how they're calculated. I know I've talked to people in the past and they say, well, if I make a certain salary, I'm taxed at this rate. And I've tried to explain that our tax rates in the United States are progressive. So you're taxed at different dollar percentages based on the amount that you earn. And I'll bring up the federal tax rates for 2026. And I've seen so many comments in threads that, hey, I got a bonus and I was taxed at 35% or 40%. And, oh, it doesn't make sense to even get it. And I've tried to say, no, you're not. I mean, I disagree with them. And I've tried to, again, go back to the federal tax rates because bonuses are a part of your earned income. And so when you do your taxes, you pay a certain percentage based on the amount of money that you own. And so when I saw this article from Empower explaining how tax rates are withheld for bonuses, I thought, let me do a video on it. And I will definitely put this article down in the description so you can read it yourself. And I thought this was really good because, again, it talks about the different ways that it could be, and that's why some people might be confused. And so if you get a bonus, it really talks around two different ways that you can pay. And I'm going to say tax rate, but it's really a withholding rate on that amount. So if you get it as a separate check, a lot of times what they do is a flat 22% on that bonus up to $1 million. And then I think it's even higher. The article, I believe, does even have that amount. If it's over $1 million, I think it's taxed at like 37%. But don't quote me on that. But you can see if you get if you worked at your organization and around the holidays, they give you a bonus and it's part of a separate check. A lot of times they will do it as this flat 22%. And again, I want to make sure that I highlight this. It's a withholding method. So when you're doing your taxes, then it's based on your federal rate. So you can't say that, hey, I was taxed 22%. 22% was withheld from your amount. And then when you do taxes, you true it up one way or another. The other way that you could have it done is just part of your regular pay. So, and again, I don't know what your percentage would come out because you probably have withholding numbers and you have dependents and stuff like that. But, they add it on top of your income and then the rate comes out. And you may have other expenses that come out of that as well. And again, this affects your contributions at the end of the year. And, you'll pay whatever the tax is at that point. But again, all of these is, again, it's a withholding percentage. So don't think of it as your tax. So again, that's what Empower kind of talks about. And again, I didn't want to just show you this article and kind of point to this because the article, I thought it missed a really great explanation on, how it trues it up at the end of the year. So I decided to use Microsoft Copilot and kind of ask the same thing. And it kind of, again, touched on these same two topics. So you can either have a flat 22% withholding, or you could do that, what it calls the aggregate method, or, it's going to go right into your paycheck and it'll be withheld. So it often results in higher withholding. So it looks like you've been taxed more. But the reality is, and that's where, they did a very nice job in here, it becomes part of your total taxable income and then goes along with whatever your marginal tax rate is. And again, I'm going to bring up actually right after this the federal 2026 tax rate so you can see where it would fall into. Now, if you're saying that you're getting taxed 25%, well, that's not a tax rate, actually. 24% is. But, it would push you potentially into the next bracket, which could be, 22%, whatever the percentage is. And again, then if you have too much taken out, you'll get a refund. And if not enough was withheld, you would owe the difference. So what are the federal tax rates? So I have the single one here. And again, This I know I've tried to explain to quite a few people. Again, they are progressive. So based on the salary that you make, and I'll use an example right here. So if you are taxed at, if you make $100,000, you will be in the 22% tax rate, but not all $100,000 is taxed at 22%. The first portion of it is taxed at 10%. The next portion of it between this range is taxed at 12%. And then any money that's in this bracket is taxed at 22. And again, so if you got a bonus on top of that, yes, parts of it would be in the 22%. And then maybe you get pushed into a portion of your bonus is taxed at 24. And again, you can see then the next bracket is at 32. Down here is the married ranges. So again, if maybe you're a married couple and you both make a combined $100,000 tax rate, you can see you're actually in the 12% tax bracket. So the first, 24,800 is taxed at 10%. That's what it's showing right here. And then anything else in that other difference is in the 12%. And remember, your standard deductions also would apply. So that might actually, so that might push you even lower from a tax rate. The next dollar you earn is your marginal tax rate. But again, in this case, somebody that makes $100,000, the first, almost 25,000, first the standard deduction is going to come off. So I forget what the exact standard deduction is. It might have it in here. But I don't, here it is. Married filing jointly. So the first $32,000 is coming off that $100,000. So now you're only at like $70,000. So again, the first 10% would come, and then 12%, your effective tax rate is probably going to be in the, 10 to 11%, especially taking $32,000 off that first $100,000. So again, I really thought this would be interesting again, because so many people, I think bonuses get taxed at such a high rate, and why even get it? And I really wanted to kind of educate more than anything and show some of these actual websites that kind of talk about how it's calculated, how the initial withholding is done. And again, it may look like you're getting taxed at a higher rate, but really it just falls into your regular federal tax brackets, and you're taxed at whatever progressive tax rate that is. So hopefully that helps. If you think this was interesting, did this educate, did you learn something from this? Please give it a like and subscribe, and hopefully I have more videos like this that you might find interesting. And if you disagree with me, sure, put it in the comments, but I'm looking at actual articles from, Forbes, Empower talking about it. And again, we could probably go out to the IRS website as well. But thank you.